And a good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. He is Big Joe Dubin. I am Chase McCabe. Dr. Crane Nick Frazier is actually en route. So Brandon Bigsby,
My man.
is on the board with us today. JoJo, what's up? How you
Oh,
doing?
man, what a beautiful day. We're live here at La Madeleine Cafe in Mount Juliet, their grand opening. It's their first location in Tennessee. People have said, oh, you mean the one in New Orleans? That's really, really popular. I said, no, the one in Mount Juliet. And it's open at 9. It's their grand opening. It's absolutely packed in here. So we'll talk to John Dillon. He's the president of La Madeleine, and Rick Barup as the owner here. So it's a fun day, packed house. Shout out to my good friend Beth at Southern Bank. They brought the office out here today. They're inside here eating, having a good time. So all the good people over at Southern Bank and Beth, thank you for being here today for this very cool day. And the opening chaser was they had a guy skydive.
Oh, cool.
Landed in a field next to us, and that's
I saw that from the interstate.
Yeah.
When I was on the way in, I was like, is somebody skydiving?
Yeah. Which
and I didn't realize that was here.
Which will lead to our question in just a moment. But it's very cool to be out and about, and this place is fantastic. If you're out and about today, come out here to La Madeleine and Mount Juliet off Golden Bear Parkway, across from the Costco. Come by and say hi. We're here till 3 o'clock today, and so a really, really fun time.
Brando, I hate to do this on the air, but I got to know, how we sounding back there?
Sounding good, crystal clear.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Good. Brando in the submarine.
Well, whatever works.
All right.
We're here. The Predators, unfortunately, the playoff hopes were dashed last night. They lose to San Jose, and LA wins. So they're done. They play one game on Thursday, and then the season is done, and the off season begins.
It's one of the worst things in sports. I'll argue all day long. When you pull the goalie, what's the odds that works? 5% of the time? 10?
I don't know. I'd be curious if Fingen's listening. I bet he could find that pretty quick.
That's fine. I think it's one of the worst things in sports, pulling the goalie.
Yeah,
I just do, and then they got the open shot, and then it was done. It was over with. The extra attacker on the ice. I don't care.
I mean, look, they had a couple of goals. Luke Evangelista scored a couple and made it exciting there at the end. They had good looks, but like you said, unable to get it to go, and that's how the season goes.
What was the offense for 53 minutes? I mean, the biggest game of the year, and you drop an egg. It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
Look, we'll talk a lot about it. Chris Mason's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll kind of get his thoughts on it. We'll have time to do a a moratorium of the season.
Sure.
However you want to look at it. But it came to an end. There's one more game, but the playoff hopes come to an end. I think, considering where this team was in November, the fact that, and Barry Trotz said it yesterday when I had a chance to talk to him on DVD, that where they were in November, the fact that they were playing meaningful games in April is certainly, it's not everything, but it's not what they expected at that point.
Please don't get mad at me. You didn't make the playoffs. It's a complete
postmortem. Thank you.
Failure. Complete failure. You didn't make the playoffs. I don't care how great you played down the stretch, and he got 40 you lost. You didn't make the playoffs. It's a complete failure of a season.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just the way I look at it.
I'm not going to go that far, considering I don't think they were picked. Nobody really thought they were going to make the playoffs. So the fact that you were kind of in the mix for it, but we'll have a lot of time. The postmortem. Thank you to
You're
talk
welcome.
about that. But it was a tough one. Tough one at Bridgestone. They snapped the winning streak against San Jose, and their playoff hopes are dashed. I do want to take some time to start the show. The news came out while I was doing DVD yesterday, but the very sad news that Dave McGinnis, better known as Coach Mack, passed away at the age of 74 yesterday. Coach Mack was a coach with the Titans, former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and many believe that he kind of helped get that stadium built there in Glendale, with those teams that he had as the head coach of the Cardinals. But longtime friend of Jeff Fisher, was on his staff both here and in St. Louis and LA, and just became a friend to all of us in the media. Even, as we like to say in the business, even though he was considered across the street, was always very nice with his time. Would he'd come on with us, and then one day was like, "Well, I guess they told me I can't."
Right.
And and I loved that. Was just a really, really cool guy, and I had the opportunity to sit and listen to him and Floyd tell stories at the Combine one year, and just really was gutted. Unfortunately, it kind of found out things weren't looking good, and then got the news yesterday that he had passed. But it was one of those that when it hits you, it just crushes you because of just how much he lit up a room and how cool of a guy he was.
So we were at Titans practice one day, and he loved us. He loved talking to us, and a lot of
he loved everybody.
He did, yeah. And we were talking about his career, and he's like, the first game I coached in college was against Bear Bryant. We beat him, and so for about 45 minutes, he went in talking about the Bear Bryant mystique and winning that game and how he evolved from coaching against Bear Bryant to being with Mike Ditka, and he's like. And halfway through it, he says, "Damn, I'm too blessed." And I was like, man, that's powerful. So we had great talks about football and life and everything. And it's terrible. I mean, they don't make a lot of men like him anymore who cares deeply about players and staff and crew and everybody else involved. And it's crushing. That's a tough one, man. It was, and there's a lot of people that love that man that felt it last night and today as well. But it was just great talking football with him, and that story about him facing Bear Bryant, looking across the sideline and seeing that iconic Bear houndstooth hat, everything. He's like, what have I got myself into? And they won the game. It's like 1975, Missouri beat Alabama. And it's really cool, man. That's a huge loss, man. Huge loss.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And, our thoughts and prayers to his family, our thoughts and prayers to his Titans radio family, and everyone at 104.5, because, he certainly was a big part of what they were doing over there. I saw Buck put out a really nice tribute to him, and they had obviously gotten very close. And so, look, this is one of those where the battle lines are erased, and they're hurting and we're hurting with them. So on behalf of all of us here at 102.5, we want to send our condolences, and obviously with the Titans as well, because Coach Mack was one of one, and he's truly going to be missed. You bring up going over to training camp. One of my favorite parts about going to training camp was standing on the sideline and feeling a hand grab my shoulder and go, "What do we think?"
Right.
And because it happened every time I was over there. He'd find you. You wouldn't go find him. He'd find you. And he did that with everyone. And I thought that was truly just what made him such an amazing person. So, again, Dave McGinnis, gone too soon, Coach Mack, and we're certainly going to be feeling that one for a while.
Amen, brother.
And I hate this phrase sometimes, but as they say, the show goes on. So that leads us to our question of the day.
So they had a guy that skydived.
Dove.
Skydove. That's not even skydove. That don't make sense.
Skydive? I don't know.
He was a skydiver. He landed. Our question is, would you ever jump out of a plane and skydive? I'm curious. My brother did hundreds and hundreds of jumps out of a plane when we lived in Hawaii when he was in the Air Force. Told you that's where we met Russ Francis, who was also a skydiver.
Yeah.
Tim Hasselbeck and I have talked about Russ Francis, great tight end. But would you skydive? Would you jump out of a plane? I would not. The guy who did this has had hundreds of jumps. He landed to the field next to Lamadaline here in Mount Juliet. And we were all like, oh, man, because the wind is whipping outside. Yeah. He landed perfectly. Would you or have you ever jumped out of? I'm curious. What was your thoughts of jumping out of a plane for fun? I'd like to know. 615-737-1025. Have you or will you ever skydive?
You've asked me this question before. And I think my answer was I would. And I had thought about like doing it for my 40th birthday because I know people that have done it. Like we've talked to Todd Rodemo at Omni about it because I think he's done it a few times. And I'm like, I want to. I like the idea of it. Like I think it would be cool, give the thrill. But I also know myself and
Right?
my body, and I just don't think it would be a good idea. So I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I'm going to change my. I think at one time I said yes, but I'm going to change my answer.
Well, for those who've done it, said it's the most exhilarating thing.
Yeah, I mean,
ever.
Todd's told us that. Like,
God bless you.
Haley with the buzz has told us that.
I tried to do the one in Gatlinburg where you float in the air, but I was too fat, so I had to wait. You got to be under like 240. I'm like, well, I'm not going to hit that goal anytime soon, so we're good.
Yeah, you're going to say no.
I will not say no. I will say maybe.
Okay. 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. And our question of the day is presented by Aries Tactical. Your safety, your skill, your Aries Tactical. First-time shooters shoot for free. Just tell them that I, Chase McCabe, sent you and check them out at ariestactical.com. We'll get your questions throughout the day on that. Chris Mason going to join us at the bottom of the hour at 12:30. Tim Hasselbeck with our weekly conversation with him at 1. And then John McClain's actually going to hop back on at 2. To share some thoughts on Dave McGinnis and his passing. He knew Coach Mack for a long time, and so he's going to share some stories about Coach Mack at 2. But we are live today at La Madeleine here in Mount Juliet, right off of Golden Bear Parkway, the grand opening of this place, and it is packed right now. A lot of people, and you've been here for a while, but people have been in here since about 9 o'clock today for the grand opening, which has been very, very cool. So we will tell you more about that coming up next. Chase and Big Joe on this Tuesday, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Tuesday, live here in Mount Juliet, hanging out. Joe, I'm going to let you do the honors for our next
Thanks,
guest.
Chase. You don't remember the guy's name, but I do.
It's John. It's John.
Let's welcome in the president and CEO of La Madeline, John Dillon, who's here in Nashville. John, thanks for doing this, man. What an exciting day for you guys.
Oh, it's a great day. First cafe that we've opened in Tennessee as of today.
Yeah, it's crazy. I told you earlier that I told people, hey, we're going to do a remote at La Madeline, and I had half a dozen people say, you're going to New Orleans?
Yeah.
Because it's so popular. Like, no, they're in Mount Juliet. Why does this work? Why are you guys so popular?
I tell people all the time, there's a lot of restaurants out there right now, right? So there's a lot of chicken places or taco places and pizza places or sandwich places, and I could go on and on.
Right.
There are very few kind of French-inspired bakery cafes. So you can come in, and we're sitting right here in front of a fireplace, nice ambiance to the experience. When somebody comes in, grabs a croissant, a cake, a nice warm cup of soup, a salad, sandwiches. Our menu is fantastic, but the atmosphere is what really sells a lot of people on this brand, right? So it's nice just to come in and hang out, sit by the fireplace, sit by the patio, and just, grab a cup of coffee or a meal. We're very flexible that way. So we fill a niche in the restaurant category that people really enjoy. Something different.
I told Rick, the franchise owner, I said, what I like about you guys is everybody's got the best burger in town.
Exactly.
We got the best burger. You guys don't pretend, right? I mean, it's like, here's what we're really good at. You guys can have the burgers. We're good over here.
Yeah, we're not going to touch your burgers, right? Or your tacos. But at the end of the day, if you want a nice meal, again, it could go with salad, soups, croissants, desserts. Yeah, it could go breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch. We got mimosas, we got nice coffees.
Keep going.
So you can, exactly, and I will. I'm sitting here looking at the bakery case while we're talking right now, and I'm hungry.
Right.
So we're excited. We have about 85 cafes across the country. The brand started 43 years ago in Dallas, Texas. We do have Louisiana presence. We have 11 different states, now 12 with Tennessee. But we're thrilled to be here, and we think this is the first of many in Tennessee.
Why does a cafe like this fit so well with a town like Mount Juliet?
It is I've grown to love the town of Mount Juliet, first of all, since we started working with them and the franchise owner, Rick, several months ago. So Mount Juliet is very community focused. We're a brand that fits directly into that, right? So just the people that I've met here just this morning, just being in town for today, I feel like family already, the people that I just met, right? So there's something about Mount Juliet and the community aspect of Mount Juliet, something about the La Madeline brand. Those two mesh really well. A picture of Venn diagram, right? So Mount Juliet, La Madeline, that sweet spot in the middle is exactly what we have going on right here. And you can feel it, you can see it in the crowds that are here right now.
So you mentioned 12 states. The expansion continues, and I have to imagine that there's even more to come.
There's more to come. Yeah, we're working on that right now. So I joined the brand about a year ago. So I've been in the restaurant industry my entire career. I joined La Madeline a year ago because I believe there's growth to be had in this brand. So we've got more announcements to come soon. We have another 6 cafes opening balance of this year. And we were talking to several folks right now about how we can make that even stronger for 26, 27 and future years. So,
I love it. John Dillon's with us. He's the president and CEO of La Madeline. I had a restaurateur tell me one time that the biggest selling tactic that he had was word of mouth.
Yes.
Right. Nothing else. You could spend $1 billion if your food isn't good. Word of mouth, talking to people. I was at the Soft Grand opening a couple of weeks ago. I mean, and those people are back today.
Yep.
How important is that word of mouth?
That's huge. It's huge for any brand, any restaurant brand especially, but a brand like us, it's worth quite a bit. So, I've met so many people since joining La Madeline, and I grew up on the brand in Dallas.
Right.
So I know it well as my mother's favorite brand, my wife's favorite brand.
There you go.
My daughter worked at a La Madeline in high school, right? So it's in my blood too.
Yeah.
But I still haven't met a single person, I swear to you, that when I say La Madeline, they don't light up. Some haven't heard of it, right? Especially in a state like Tennessee, where we're just coming in. But those that know the brand, they love the brand, and they end up telling their friends and family about it. So it's up to us to give that great experience, provide them best food, which we do, right? And then that word of mouth starts. I would say a brand like La Madeline, even more so than other brands. So we do expect that, but it comes naturally to us.
I love it. And the guy that told me about word of mouth also said that we eat with our eyes.
We very much do.
Right now, and this
Yeah,
guy was
yeah.
great.
That's
I'm
true.
like, right, so we eat with our eyes.
I need to
He
hire
said,
that guy.
right. So you got the open. You can see the desserts and
Oh, we
everything,
do that
right?
for
So
a reason. Yeah.
I'm eating with my eyes.
You totally are. Yeah, and we put that right by that register there. So when people they're checking out, they're ordering their food, they're probably going to add on something. They're gonna add on a dessert for their meal today, or something to take home. Right? We have that sacher torte cake, or the cheesecake, or a coconut cake. I mean, these are famous La Madeleine menu items. I can't wait for more of the people in Mount Juliet and Nashville to really try and enjoy. And that's where that word of mouth is going to keep going.
Yeah, and you mentioned your background
Yeah.
in restaurants,
Yes.
Denny's, Pizza Hut.
That's
I mean,
right.
you've worked for some big brands,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think you could take this places.
Exactly, and that's the plan. That's why they brought me in, I believe, and I believe we can go places. Yeah, Denny's, we had 1,600 restaurants. Pizza Hut had many. I lost count of how many Pizza Hut has, but more than that.
Right.
So, well, we have about 85, 86 right now, but plan is to double in size in the next 4 or 5 years.
Getting it done. I asked you earlier
Yeah.
about being the president CEO, walking in a place, and the staff's very cognizant that you're here. And it's like, that's a fine line. Because I remember I worked at a restaurant, and the boss would come in, I'm like, oh, God, he's here.
Yeah.
But you have said, look, I'm laid back. I'm over here in the corner. Don't look at me. You guys are fine.
I try to interact more with guests and just let the team members do their job. They're working incredibly hard. You see with crowds like this, they're working really hard. And it's about encouraging them, giving them a nice smile, handshake, and just letting them do what they do, right? And as much as I can, how can I support them? But really, how can I also stay out of the way and keep the guests in the dining room as happy as possible, too?
One more question
Yeah.
on that, and you're a very smart man. You know the industry well. How important, and I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you, how important is location?
Pretty darn important. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is like, it's the old real estate adage, right? Location. It matters in restaurants too. It absolutely does. If you're kind of, in this case, those that don't know where we are here, we're right across the street from a Costco.
Right.
We don't do that by accident, right?
Yes.
So where Costco goes, business is going to go, whether it's weekday, weekends, etc. Texas Roadhouse just opened. They had a phenomenal grand opening. So we look at other restaurant brands. Are like, a lot of people would say, hey, you don't want to be close to X, Y, and Z brand.
Right.
If they're a successful brand, that's exactly where we want to be, because there's traffic, there's eyeballs, or people it becomes their traffic pattern. So they mix us into the rotation. That's what we want. So location absolutely matters.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know you're busy.
You betcha.
John Dillon,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks you guys for being here.
We'll tag this. We'll send it to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Perfect.
You can say you made the big time in Nashville.
I love it.
On the Chase and Big Joe show.
That is right.
Big time.
John,
Great.
thanks so much
Thank
for
you both.
doing this and
Appreciate
having
you,
us
brother.
here.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
John Dillon, he's the president and CEO of La Madeleine. We'll have more from here in Mount Juliet coming up next on 102.5 The Game. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5 The Game on this Tuesday. We're live at La Madeline in Mount Juliet. But continuing the Predators discussion, and we want to hear from you. We know that you guys want to talk about it and vent, but unfortunately the playoff run or hopes come to an end last night against the San Jose Sharks. And to talk more about that, we bring in Predators analyst for FanDuel Sports and Nashville Predators, Chris Mason, who is on the line with us. Mace, appreciate you doing this. And unfortunately, one game left, but no playoffs this year.
Yeah, it was a heck of a ride, to be honest. And, I'm part of the crew that I thought at the trade deadline, and even at some points before that, I thought, really they didn't really have a realistic shot of getting there or anywhere near there. And at the deadline, it was, I thought, all right, well, we're going to get a chance to see some young guys, but there's no way that they're going to make a run to the playoffs, especially when you look at the schedule and all those types of things. But these guys did. I mean, that was an impressive run. And for them to be, in it until the very second last game of the year, I thought was an incredible run and just a testament to the guys in that room, the veteran players that kind of kept that belief when, not a lot of people, I don't know if anybody outside of the locker room and the coaching staff and the organization thought they would get there. And they almost did. And I just think when you look at that, I know some people in the media made fun of the meaningful hockey quote. They said that a lot. And, I know that a lot of people didn't think that they would be playing meaningful hockey. But when you look at the games that they played and the value that all those young players got from that run and seeing, Steven Stamkos and Ryan O'Reilly and all those veterans go through what is essentially a playoff, style game to try to get into the playoffs and all the commitment that goes into it. I think, you had a really good situation and a good season. That's something they should be proud of. They didn't get in, but that was a good season, a lot of benefit out of it, in my opinion.
There are a lot of things we're going to talk about, Chris, over the course of the next few weeks to kind of break down the season. But I do want to start with something that you could give your expertise on because you've been in this situation as a goaltender. You had both goalies playing well at the end of the season. And going with Justus Annunen last night and the last few games to me was not an indictment of UC Saros. It was more of you're riding the hot hand, and the way that Annunen has played, he deserved more playing time. And so it was more kudos to him than anything else. But how do you feel like Andrew Brunette and the coaching staff handled the goalies down the stretch, knowing that you had both of them playing at a pretty high level?
Yeah, you could look at every game. I think personally that was the right call. I've been in this situation, and I think anybody, internally, when you're going, you need to win that game. I think it's your duty as a coach to give your team the best chance to win that hockey game. And to me, as you said, it's no indictment of UC Saros. He's playing great, but Justus Annunen was just at a level that, you had to recognize and you had to, give your guys the best chance to win that game on that night. And I think it was him. So both guys were good. I mean, UC Saros has been in that situation, before when Pekka was, kind of at the end. I'm not saying UC's at the end, but when he was taking over that number one spot and throughout the season, I mean, you gotta give it to the guy that's going. I've been there when a guy's playing good or playing, especially the way on it. And it's not like he was just playing good. He was playing out of his mind. He's probably the hottest goaltender in the National Hockey League. Saros obviously wants to play. He was playing well, but I think, you can understand the decision. So I think that, ultimately that was the right decision. Preds weren't able to score or really generate much offense last night. It was definitely not Justus Annunen. I thought he played another solid game, but, I thought that's the right play at the end of the season there.
Chris Mason is with us on the show. Chris, good talking to you, buddy. How have we been doing?
Doing good, bud. It's been a heck of a season. Been a grind, but a fun team to follow. How about yourself, big boy?
I was listening one night and on TNT, I think it was, and then I heard you call in the game. I think it was Edmonton and somebody. So I was like, I know that guy. So I was very proud of you.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it, buddy. We've got some good chats, and I appreciate you always.
Sure, man. Always. Hey, let me ask you this, and then Chase asked some really good questions about the season, the team. I want to ask about. I'm not a fan, Chris, of pulling the goalie. I'm not. I know the extra attacker. Where do you stand on that? I just do last night when they pulled him out of goal and get the extra. I was like, this is not going to end good. and it hardly ever ends well. Am I missing the point on this, Chris?
Honestly, I go back and forth with that all the time because I don't know, for whatever reason, this year it seems like, the Preds just haven't had much success with the goalie pull. And I know, like everything else in hockey, it's very analytically based, and they go on the percentages, and you do increase your odds. But I agree with you. I think so many times now you see so many empty net goals, and it just doesn't work out. But I guess at the end of the day, it gives you the best chance of getting that goal. It also increases your chance of giving up a goal, which I don't know how you measure that, but I don't know. It just seems like it just hasn't worked out this year for the Preds. And I haven't really looked around the league, but it's always a tough one. Obviously, you're going to get the puck more. You're going to put more pressure. But if that puck gets into the neutral zone, it's almost, it seems like every time you get a goal scored. So I don't know. I've been going back and forth too, Joe. I don't really have a definitive answer for you, though.
I understand it. All right. Can this be a problem? The two goalies and who's going to start and this and that as we head into the offseason and into the preseason and the next year. Could this be a distraction, Chris?
I don't think so. I mean, when you're playing at this level in this league, I think you're going to get that every year at every position. And I think that's good. I think when you go in, you should have healthy competition. And that's where when you get a goaltender like Justus Onanen when he was, 24, 25 years old, you're hoping that you get to this position as an organization where this young goaltender is growing, he's getting better, and he's pushing, the number one guy. And for the number one guy, which is UC Saros, that competition it's a healthy thing. These guys are friends. They are competing for that one net, and they both want to play. And I know Saros wants that net, and Onanen wants to play as well. And that doesn't affect their friendship. These guys are, probably their biggest cheerleaders. But that doesn't mean they're not competing against each other and themselves, really, to get that playing time. I don't think it creates a problem at all. I actually think it's a good thing if you have two guys, fighting for that net. And, down the road, depending on what decisions have to be made, when you have two good goaltenders, that's opens up some options as well down the road for, getting assets or that type of thing as well. So I think it's good.
Chris, we got a new GM's going to come in, and some fans are like, oh, no. But some fans are like, hey, this could be a good thing, a rebirth, a kind of exciting time for the Nashville Predators. Do you see when a Preds fan says it could be an exciting new adventure for this team? Do you understand what they're talking about?
Yeah, I really do. I think, this is an opportunity for the organization when, Barry announced that he wasn't coming back, for them to really – like they've done, take the time, interview everybody they think could be a viable option. There's so much emphasis on, the analytic part of it. I think, they could bring maybe more than one person in the organization, but it's going to give them an opportunity to really identify that one guy, that can really, be the person that in the direction that they want to go. And I think, Barry Trotz, and I think, has done a really good job, and Jeff Kelsey and Scott Nickel and everybody in the scouting staff of giving this new general manager a nice canvas to work with. You've got lots of draft picks, you've got some veteran players that have expiring contracts, you've got young up and comers that are playing really well. And I think that person, whoever they decide on, is going to have some good opportunity to really kind of do what he wants to do, whether he, tries to trade, veteran players. You have Steven Stamkos coming off just an unbelievable year. You have Ryan O'Reilly, who is at the end of his contract, who, probably could get a pretty penny at the draft and things like that. Or they decide they want to keep those guys, but they've also got lots of draft picks. They could either keep stock in the cupboards, or you could package up some of those along with some of those other players. And, you've got versatility is what I'm saying. So I think it's exciting to see who they pick and then what the vision is of that general manager moving forward for this team here in the near future. It is exciting for sure.
Chris Mason is with us on the Chase and Big Joe show, kind of building off that, some of the young guys that we got to see. I felt like, even though you missed the McCarron and a Cole Smith and some of the guys that were traded, at the deadline. What we saw out of Schaefer and Joachim Kemmel towards the end, and Ufko and some of these young guys that came in make me feel confident that they're going to continue to grow and be pretty good players for this team for years to come. What was kind of your evaluation of those youngsters?
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally it's the direction the team had to go. I know they tried to make other moves at the deadline, and I know some people were upset that certain players didn't get traded, and it wasn't because they didn't try to do that, but it opened up a lot of opportunity to see what these players are all about. And I think to me the biggest one I think was Matt Wood moving to center. I think for him to go there and have success at that position the way that he did, I still think, when I watch him play, I think he's only going to get better. I think he could really, shoot the puck more. And I think there's more to his game. I think he's going to put on, man strength and size as he gets a little bit older here. So that was really exciting for me. I thought Zach LaRue came up, did a really good job. I think we all know what kind of player he is. He's got a little bit of skill. He's that, kind of rat that'll get in there and stir it up. I think for Schaefer, I think he's got some tools there. I think for him, I think he maybe has to, realize and take the next step in asserting his size and using his physicality a little bit more. But I think he's got, for a big man, he skates well. He's got skill. That's not an easy role to come up as a young kid and do in this league. But I think for him, after having seen it, I think he can, evaluate and come back bigger and stronger and be able to do that. And then Joachim Kemmel, I thought he got better as that season went on, and you can see that, there's some glimmer there for a young 21-year-old to keep taking strides forward. So I thought it was a great opportunity to see a lot of those young guys, especially in the games that they were playing. Every night was a playoff game for this team. It wasn't like you're going down and like last year, they were pretty much out of it in January and you're playing the games and it's not the same expectations and pressure night in, night out. And I think those young players did a heck of a job going down the stretch. And, moving forward, I think you got a good base, especially with Matt Wood at center. I think that was huge.
Chris, as we let you go, prediction for the Stanley Cup final, what two teams do you think will meet up that you've seen this year that are the best?
Oh, man, I don't know. I think this might be the hardest year. I think out of the East, I honestly think anyone in the Eastern Conference could come out. That's how good I think it is. I would love to see Buffalo. I don't know. Montreal look good. You can never obviously count out Tampa, but I honestly think every team, like Philadelphia, Boston, all these teams, I think have a chance in the East. Out of the West, I can't not see it being Colorado, to be honest with you. I think if they get going and they get their game up to the level that, their top level, I don't think anybody can compete with them, but the only thing is, Colorado, Dallas and Minnesota are probably going to kill each other in the first round. Then they got to play Colorado. So I think whoever gets out of that, if it's, Colorado, Dallas, or Minnie, whoever gets out of that second round, I think is going to be the representative for the West in the Cup final. In the East, there's just too many teams. I literally think everyone that's in the East has a chance.
Chris, appreciate it as always, and obviously a great job by you and everybody on the team this year on the broadcast crew. Always love watching and listening, and looking forward to Scripps Media and all of that next year. It's going to be a lot of fun, but thanks so much for joining us today.
All right, thanks, Phil. It's great talking to you. Take care.
Absolutely. Chris Mason joining us here on the program, affectionately known as C-Mace. And does a great job with Willie and Kara and Hal and Lindsay and everybody involved in that crew. And what we want to do now is 615-737-1025. What's the first thing you want to see happen besides the obvious of a new GM being named? When the new GM gets in here, what's the first move in your opinion? 615-737-1025. We'll continue the discussion from La Madeline and Mount Juliet here at 1025 The Game. Chase and Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. We're live at La Madeleine here in Mount Juliet. The grand opening today. We talked to their CEO earlier, John Dillon, and pretty cool. This is a perfect little cafe for Mount Juliet, and glad that we could be here today. Hey, tee it up with us for the 5th annual 615 Open. It's coming up May 28th at Hermitage Golf Course, and once again, we're supporting Folds of Honor to help them fund life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. Register now to play or sponsor at 615open.com. So what do you want to see the Predators do after the GM is hired? The season coming to an end tomorrow night, Thursday night. My day is wrong.
Yeah, your day's wrong, buddy.
Yeah, Thursday night at Bridgestone Arena against the Anaheim Ducks, but not going to make the playoffs. What are the moves that you want to see? And there's a few obvious ones that I'm expecting people to say, but Mike in Lebanon I want the new GM to roll with this coach and team another year and then decide on any changes. Trotz broke up the team when he started it, and it was a setback and hurt Andrew Brunette. What do you think of that?
Did he? I don't know.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, what specifically hurt
What's Duchesne?
Duchesne, yeah. And
Did that hurt Burnett?
I don't think so. I don't think he was a fit, so I think that's why he moved on. 4312 says, I hope the new GM picks a lane. Either burn it down to the studs or go for it. I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think that's kind of – I understand what Barry's been saying of, the plan is in pen, the path is in pencil. And look, we're seeing some of those things.
Say that again.
The plan is in pen, the path is in pencil.
Oh, that's strong.
I do like that, but I think for the fan base, it's kind of hard for them to picture that of, well, what does that mean? And so I think, but look, I think the plan's going to stay pretty much the same. Like they're going to try and keep building transition. Barry's used the phrase transition quite a bit.
Let me ask you this: what do you not want to see? You want O'Reilly to still be here? Keep Forsberg around? I mean, I would at this point. Go one more year. I'm with Mike in Lebanon that I would ride one more year with what this setup is. Look at some free agents, see where your young guys are at to add them to the fold, and let's continue to have the transition with the younger guys. They got a lot of good prospects that are on the way. I think you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be burn it to the studs and get rid of Duchesne, or not Duchesne, get rid of they did that already. Forsberg and Stamkos and all those guys. And look, if they do that, then make it all or nothing. Like go for it. Otherwise, I think try and build a competitive roster that can do something next year. Now, Dave was the first one to say what I knew somebody was going to say. Fire Andrew Brunette. Okay. And I think you have to 100% leave that up to the general manager or president of hockey ops or whoever that is going to be, that just like Barry Trotz did, let them come in and go, you know what? I like what this coach is doing. I'm going to keep the coach. Or come in and go, I think he's a good coach, but I have my coach, and I want my coach to be here, so I'm going to bring in my coach. Yes.
But it's got to be that person's decision.
Exactly.
If somebody like Tom Fitzgerald is involved, my guess is Brunette's going to stay, because Brunette was not only a teammate, but was also with him in New Jersey. When he was there as the general manager, Bruno was there as an assistant coach. So there's familiarity there. You could have somebody that has no ties to the organization that could come in and go, you know what, I think this group could use a different voice, and you make the change, and then all of you have to be prepared for Andrew Brunette to go get another job and probably do pretty well. I do think he's a good coach. Okay. But I can see both sides of it. I'm not trying to be Switzerland, but I can 100% see both sides of it.
Well, I agree. I think a GM needs to come in and let him pick it's like an athletic director, right? I mean, you always hear like, well, that's not his coach. He didn't hire that basketball coach. That's why GM, you bring in your people. And I do not fault the GM who does that at all, at any level, in any sport.
Yeah. So I think that is going to be probably the big thing of does the coaching staff – well, the first big thing the new GM or the new front office is going to do is who in the current front office stays, and then what does that look like, and then the coaching staff. And then you go from there. I really have no – I think Andrew Brunette did a really admirable job, especially after the deadline, but even before that, of getting this team bought in and even having them sniff the playoffs.
Right.
Because I thought there was going to – and look, there were a lot of you that were saying fire them in November, and I didn't necessarily disagree with you. But, I think they're stuck with it and let him try and work out of it, and he almost did. Now, is that good enough to keep his job? I don't know. I wouldn't think Barry Trotz would make that decision, and the decision being fire him before the new GM is hired, but he very well could. I don't think so, but he could.
I think tomorrow night after the game, Barry needs to go to his office, clean his stuff out. Everybody pats him on the back, and I think no more decisions need to be made by him.
Well,
done. I mean, you're done. The season's over.
Right.
You didn't make the playoffs. It failed. You didn't get there. Take care.
Well, look,
we'll always love you.
What everybody needs to understand is he's going to have his handprints all over this draft, whether you like it or not. He's going to, because they're at that point. I mean, the draft's in 2 months. So
what do you mean by that?
I mean, like the pre-scout and kind of looking at, yes, a new GM could come in and pick the players, but Barry's team and Barry himself are going to have a lot of say in the players that get drafted this year, because they're the ones that have done all the work.
Okay. Did you not think this other GM could be bringing in his evaluation, his people?
Sure, but again, a lot of that stuff is done during the season, so you're not going to have a ton of time to institute all that.
Well, I'm sure they probably 90% of the guys are the same.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you're looking, hey, there's this guy in Latvia. Oh, yeah, we know about him.
Latvia.
There's this guy in Rayon City. He's a hell of a guy. We already know about him.
Mike Organ. He's a hell of a defenseman.
So what do you think the timetable is for a GM? Next 30 days? By May 15th, will they have a GM?
I would hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's too late? June 1st?
I think they would at least have the president of hockey operations, because if they go that direction, then I think you probably have him name the GM.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what any of that looks like. They could just go with one person, but I know that the reports have been and kind of listening to Barry talk that it almost feels like they're going to go with that model. So,
all right, we'll see then.
We will see. We'll get back into the Preds a little later in the show, but coming up next, Tim Hasselbeck going to join us a week before the draft from ESPN and Innsworth. We'll get his thoughts on some things in the NFL here on 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game on this Tuesday, live at La Madeleine in Mount Juliet. Their grand opening today, which has been very good. A lot of people have come through and are continuing to come through. So excited about that, but excited to talk to Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst and the head coach at Innsworth High School. Tim, how you doing?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. Look, one thing that, typically will happen when you have a top 5 pick in the draft, especially as you get closer to the draft, is everybody starts talking about trade partners and trading back. And that seems to be the case with the Titans. We've talked to you a lot about Jeremiah Love and taking him at 4, but could you see a positive case for Cam Ward in particular to trade back and add more draft assets?
Yeah, I think you always can, especially when, if there's a desire for a team to move up. Let's say the Commanders are looking to move up because they want Jeremiah Love. And so they think, getting all the way up to where the Titans are, helps with that, gets in front of a team like the Giants, who maybe are also interested in a player like Love. So, yeah, I mean, you can see it happening. I tend to kind of fall in the line of like all of these draft picks, even in the first round, they're such unknown commodities, and the draft capital to move up seems so significant. So if you're on, the sell side of it, then yeah, it probably could make sense. Being on the buy side of it, I don't always love for an unproven player, but it seems like that's something general managers are willing to do, each and every year once we get to this time.
So with that said, Mike Morganzi has said that, when they get to wherever they're going to pick, they're going to take the best player available. Does a general manager using that phrase kind of get them in trouble sometimes because it might lock them in a box if, analysts or whoever don't perceive the player they take as the best player available and it's more for need?
Yeah, I think guys say that about best player available because I do think there's an element where you do have to trust your scouting. Like you do have to, have a board where you say, look, we invest a lot of time and effort into and money, resources into the player evaluation. And so if we get to the point and, player A has got this really high rating, but it's not a position of need, do we take him and all of that? Like, I do think you have to trust your scouting. So I think there's an element of that. But I also don't know that you can ever truly believe somebody when they say, look, we're taking the best player available. If the quarterback were the best player available, they're not taking a quarterback, right? So it just, I believe that it's kind of one of those scenarios where you say it, but everybody knows that it still has to be a scheme and personnel and need fit at every pick, to be honest.
We're talking to Tim Hasselbeck on the Chasing Big Joe show. Tim, I want to talk about the passing of Coach McGinnis. When your father passed away, I'm sure you heard from people that your father had this positive impact upon their lives, where they played football or not, but he had that impact on him. Coach Mack seemed to have that same impact as a coach of leading men, and you read all the accolades, and everybody's just, this man, the world to me. What is about men like your father and Coach McGinnis that are larger than life, that have this profound impact on young men as they played, as they coach, and teammates and everything?
Yeah, I didn't get to know him. I've ran across him a few times at like a Titans practice during training camp or things like that. And, he was always, I think, very extremely friendly. And, and so my impression typically with, coaches like that, care about the people that they've coached, right? Develop personal relationships with the people that they've coached and make the guys feel like they care about them as people and young men more so than they just care about them as players. I think when guys have the ability to do that as a coach in a game where you're spending so much time and, there's such physical and mental demand, I think when guys have the ability to do that as a coach in a game where you're spending so much time and, there's such physical and mental demand, 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 there's such physical and mental on everybody, I think it can have a profound impact. And, just from reading some of the things that people have said online, of what he meant to them, he certainly had an impact like that. And, that's more important than wins and losses, and is something that certainly is going to last longer than, just, a playing career or a coaching career, but, will leave a legacy much longer than that.
I know this might be a question that you can't answer, but in your mind, and you know football better than anybody I know, what makes a great coach, Tim?
I think you have to know football, but I think you also have to be able to teach it, and then be able to relate to people, and be able to, establish trust. And so I just think that, you hear people talk about it being a relationship business, and I think it really is. Like, I'm sure there's always a point about, football acumen and all of that. But I think more than anything, I think players who feel like coaches, believe in them and want to invest in them as young men, I think that makes a good coach. And so, I think anybody that has played football can look back at a coach that they had and just think about the impact that they had on their life beyond football, just in terms of how they believed in them, communicated with them, and how they helped them grow. And I think, that's one of the beauties about the game of football, and is coming across people like that.
Tim, now that you're a head coach and you're doing well at Innsworth, do you have a different perspective now of the guys who coach you at Boston College and the guys that coach in the NFL, because you are now yourself a coach and you're leading young men?
I definitely think coaching gives you a perspective that you don't always appreciate as a player. I mean, one of the things that, always bothered me as a player was when, if something wasn't going my way, if I was, whether playing time, where I was on the depth chart, just how the competition for a position was going for me. It was always frustrating to me if I were in a situation where I didn't know why I stood where I stood. And, sometimes if you ask a coach, they would just give you a good, oh no, you're doing great, you're doing amazing. And it's like, well, not really, because when I look at the reps or I look at the depth chart, like, that's actually not how it's shaking out. So as a player, and I'm not talking about like just even youth football, high school football. This happened to me at the Giants, where it's like I was at a certain place on the depth chart, and I really didn't understand why, and I couldn't get a legitimate answer why. And so that would be just like one specific example of, I don't allow that to happen in my role as the head football coach at Innsworth. Like, if a kid isn't playing and wants to know why, he will get a clear and honest answer about why he stands where he stands. And, it doesn't mean that everyone's always going to love what they hear, but that's an important life lesson, for guys. Like, you're not always going to get told everything is great, everything is great. Like, at some point, look, I was fired 8 times before I was 30. At some point, you're going to get some information that it's not exactly what you want to hear, but it's maybe the truth. And so, look, listen, the experience will be the experience. No one is ever going to say, like, hey, coach lied to me about this, or like, that's just because of my experience as a player. That's just not something that I would put a player through now as a coach.
Well, does playing the quarterback position, like you did, does that help you be a head coach? Because one, from a field standpoint, you have to see everything, even on defense. You have to know what the defense is doing, but at the same time, the pressures that come with that position if you don't perform. So did that kind of help you in your preparation to be a head coach?
I think so. I think there's other aspects of playing quarterback too, where, you have to, use this as the example. There's a player on the team that's unhappy with the number of catches or targets that he's getting. Well, like, as a quarterback, sometimes you have to be able to deal with that, address that, speak to it, talk about it, sympathize with a player because of that. And look, those things happen as a head coach as well. Those are things you have to deal with, as a coach, just like you did as a player. So I think all of that, I do think that there are valuable lessons as a quarterback. And then certainly, just I think back to my time, like mine, the information I learned from Kevin Gilbride about the run game in my time at the Giants was invaluable. I mean, I felt like I was sitting in an offensive line room at times because of, the way that he would teach the run game to the quarterback. That's really important, and that's, I was teammates with, or I was, coworkers with John Ritchie, the former NFL fullback at ESPN. And he's like, man, I just feel like my time as a player, all I did was stare at the butts of offensive linemen where like you were actually learning stuff. And so I'm thankful for that. And I think most guys that played the position will feel a similar way.
Yeah, you hit a chord with me about clarity. I remember one time in college, I thought I had a good game on a Saturday. I came out on a Monday, and I went from first team to third team. And I asked the coach, I said, what? I don't understand this. He's like, you got 5 minutes? I'm like, yeah. Puts the tape on. There's 3 plays that I was terrible on. He's like, you got to do better. You got 4 days to show me you could do better. And I needed that. Amazing. I needed to know why I was moved down to third team, because had I not known that, I would have been mad at the coach, mad at my teammates. I needed the clarity. So you hit a chord with me talking about how you don't do that.
Yeah, and Joe, I want not to cut you off, but and had he said, no, man, you're doing great. Just keep it up. No, man, you're just keep it up. Like, you're doing great. Like, we had you in there. Like, you'll get your shot again. Just keep it up. Had that been his answer, which a lot of coaches do, because they don't want to have, a conversation where they maybe are delivering some, real things that are maybe hard for a player to hear, that wouldn't have helped you. It wouldn't have helped you become a better player. It wouldn't have helped you understand your situation. And quite frankly, there was going to be another point in your life where you were going to hear something unrelated to football that you were going to have to say, like, no, I got to be better. And that would have been the first time. And who knows how it affected you.
Amen, brother.
He is ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck, and the head coach at Innsworth. We'll have more with him coming up next, including what's next for Ruben Bain. That's all ahead here on Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe on this Tuesday, continuing our conversation with ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck. And Tim, the report came out over the weekend that Reuben Bain was involved in a fatal car accident a couple of years ago. Charges were dropped, but a young lady died after the accident. People we've talked to kind of feel like NFL teams knew about it, but how does this affect his draft stock, if at all, now that this report has come out just a week before the draft?
Yeah, I think it's going to vary team by team. We've seen things similar to this every year, and I think that, that's typically what happens. There's some teams that, to your point, Chase, some teams knew about it and some teams didn't, with things in the past. And then, I think the perspective for each club will, I think in some ways be influenced by things that have happened in the past, right? Like I think the Isaiah Wilson experience in Tennessee will have an effect for years, even if it's, different groups, of leadership that are, involved in it. So, and then I think when there are teams that have, taken risks on guys and it works out, I think that probably makes them a little more apt to take some risks. So, that would be my guess with it. I would think that this is probably not a surprise, which is why I think the information is coming out when it's coming out.
Yeah, and that makes sense. If you're one of the people making this decision, would it deter you at all, especially if he were to have told you, like, I know from working with Floyd Reese, he would tell us that, in those interviews, basically it was is there anything I need to know that's going to make either one of us look stupid? And so if he didn't divulge that, that'd be a problem. But if he did, then, I feel like that's showing some honesty.
Yeah, so that's a great example of it. So, like, not to make judgment on the issue because I haven't read the entire, I haven't read the scenario of, the details involved in that. But to your point and to, kind of, how Floyd would have, talked about this, if he was asked and wasn't forthcoming about it, yeah, then it would affect how I, how I proceeded forward with it. Because at that point, it's somebody's lying to you. It's hard to trust them, if you give them an opportunity to tell the truth and they're lying.
Talking to Tim Hasselbeck on the Chasing Big Joe show. Tim, looking at Ty Simpson, I don't recall a quarterback in a long time who's projected to go anywhere from second to the fourth round. It fluctuates every single day. And I don't get it. I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't know why all the up and down with him. And the position. You play the position. You know how this goes. Why do you think this is happening?
I think it's happening because he doesn't have there's not a huge sample size. Doesn't have a ton of starts. And so if you just look at the history of guys that, whatever the number is, fewer than 20 starts or things like that, especially in recent memory, those guys haven't really fared well, right? So if you just look at Anthony Richardson, Trey Lance, guys that didn't have a ton of starts, haven't had success. So I think there's going to be people that gives a lot of pause. And there's reason for it. It's the hardest position in sports. And so to think that somebody who hasn't played it a lot, especially at a high level against high level competition in college, there's going to be concern. And then on top of it, like it is for all players, for Ty Simpson, there are good plays and bad plays when you watch them. And so, because the sample size isn't real big, it's easy to get to a conclusion of, hey, I feel this way about him or that way about him based on this small sample size. When a guy has 40-something starts, you can say, look, the overwhelming experience watching him play is this. There's more bad than good, or it's clear that he's able to do this because I've seen it over 3 seasons, right? And so I think that's why there's such a, probably a wide range of people being like, no, he's the best quarterback in the draft, which would mean he would get picked number 1 overall. And look, he could end up going outside of round 1.
It's just crazy. Are you sold on Mendoza at number 1 to the Raiders? Would that be a good fit? I mean, is he the guy for them?
I do think that he's the best prospect. When you look at size, experience, production, what he did to a program that, traditionally had not been a very good football program, what he did against high-level competition, what he did in critical moments, how he tests, in terms of like just physically measures all of those things. And then on top of it, I think you look at his path, and you think about the production at more than one place, he is checking a lot of boxes in terms of giving you confidence that he would be able to do it when he goes to a pro team and is faced with some of the adversity that guys are faced when they get drafted in the NFL in the first round.
Good points. Let me ask you this. When your brother got drafted in 98, was it up and down with him as well? I know he got drafted by the Packers on down, but it was like, hey, you're going to go here, you're going to go there. You might go second round, you might go fourth round. I mean, I got to think watching your brother go through this was like, what in the world?
Yeah, for him, he was not projected to get drafted. So when the Packers called him and took him, it went from like, we're not really sure what to expect to, oh my gosh, this is an amazing party that we're about to have right now. Like, can you believe it? Like, this is absolutely incredible. And, just learning some of the stories now of like the why, it's really been, it's kind of been wild. His story was he had one coach show up to his pro day. It happened to be Andy Reid. So he was working at the Packers at the time. I want to say it was a tight ends coach the year prior. Wasn't even the quarterback coach. And, Andy, I think since had told Matthew, like, I really didn't care what it was going to look like. I wasn't worried about, like, could he throw? Was he smart? He was more like, did I want this guy in my meeting room? Did I like, what would it be like when he's sitting in there with, I forget who the quarterbacks were at the time. It would have been like Favre, Doug Peterson, and David Klingler. Like, dude, could he fit in this, quarterback meeting room with those guys? And, that was really why he made the trip to Chestnut Hill from Green Bay.
He is ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck, who always joins us on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Tim, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. See you, fellas.
Absolutely. Tim Hasselbeck joins us every week, and we'll react to some of the things he had to say on the draft. Coming up next, live from La Madeleine here in Mount Juliet. You can come by and see us. A lot of people still in here. I just had the turkey sandwich. It's fantastic. It really hits the spot. So come by and say hello. We'll have more
good,
coming
buddy.
here on 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Tuesday at La Madeleine. Are you hassling people again?
Well, no,
Or being hassled?
I had to sneeze, and I tried to cover it up. I was in the corner over here, and then our Dr. Crane somehow feels like now he's got some kind of bubonic plague because I sneeze in that general direction, try to keep my head down, and now
Hey, that was me last night. I was at the end of the game. I was walking into Barrel House, and I was going to get my backpack that I had behind the desk, and I literally got by people, and I'm standing like in the space in between the audience and the stage and the desk, and I just sneeze, and it's like a bomb.
oh, well, we know. We've seen it in the studio, right? Good Lord.
I scared a lady.
It's so loud, right? We just talked to the guy that at the opening of La Madeleine, they had a guy a skydiver that kind of dropped in and everything. We're talking to him.
Dropped in and see what you did there.
No, you stop it, for I'm going to tickle you. And so that was our question of the day is, would you ever skydive? Would you ever jump out of a plane? This guy here has had hundreds of jumps, and the overwhelming consensus on our text line was not only no, but heck no, we would never do that. So I don't know, maybe one day I would do that. But it always goes back to some of the comments on the text line at 615-737-1025 was, I want to know who the guy who packed the parachute. And I'm like, yeah, right. Is that not important?
I'd say that's the most important part.
I don't want that guy having a bad day and like, I need to get out of here at 2 for softball game. I don't want that guy packing my parachute.
He's driving down the road. Did I pack that parachute?
Wait, hold on. No. So anyway, it was great watching the guy come in. It was really windy and he landed, and just a cool day out here at La Madeleine and Mount Juliet.
Brando, would you do it?
I never want to say no to anything, but I think that might be one of the few things where I do. I'm not skydiving.
Yeah.
Jumping out of a plane is a hard pass for me.
Well, Brando, here's the deal. Chase and I are a little bit overweight, so we would sink like an anchor.
That's what I'm worried about.
Brando, if you jumped out of a plane, try to land in Mount Juliet, you'd probably land in Panama City. That current would take you all the way down the Gulf, man. I don't blame you.
Yeah, I have to look out for my own safety. I would really prefer to not end up somewhere random in the Caribbean with nowhere to go. So
why don't you jump on? You can jump on Chase's back or my back, and then you could land with us.
But what would we just break his fall?
No, we just hop on like a little backpack on the back of us. We go down.
So it's like riding like a magic
Brando doesn't weigh. Yes, exactly. Consider me the genie from Aladdin, and I'm taking you down, buddy.
Oh boy,
we can land down there, man. It'd be good. But no, I maybe one day we'll see.
Okay. Mike in Las Casas said, "I'm just a simple retired telephone man. When I heard the commercial for La Madeleine, I couldn't even start to Google it because of the heavy French accent with the pronunciation. I've never heard of that place, but now that Joe spoke the name with his Rayon City accent, I will check it out."
Thank you. Yes. It all comes about if we can get a La Madeleine in Rayon City, I'm telling you right now, it might be the hottest spot in America.
See, this already takes it out for me. 8771 says, excluding the military, all skydivers pack their own chutes. I'm screwed if I have to pack my own.
They wouldn't make you do that.
There's
no way.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing
There was no way. Your first jump, hey, pack that. Like, what?
I'd pull it out and it'd be a string.
You're like, well, go on YouTube and doing that? No, they've got to pack it for you. No.
Yeah, I'm again, this is just making me realize this more that I'm good. I'd probably be that person that goes, why would I jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
Was it the Vanderbilt game, LSU game? What game was that where they had 3 skydivers? None of them landed on the field past year?
Yeah.
Oh, landed like in the stands.
You and I would be like the Liberty Mutual commercial where we'd land in the parking
4
lot
miles away. Oh man.
Go crashing through a car.
Oh God, I'll pass on all that stuff.
Where's Joe? He's in the middle of a Volvo.
I love the sound effect of that commercial because when they hit the side of that van, you like feel that like ouch. Also, they got a guy here doing Balloon animals. And Dr. Crane, you got a salamander?
Yeah, nah, that's cute.
Salamander.
He's gonna.
I haven't heard the word salamander in 30 years. Salamander.
Yeah.
What's the other word for it? Lizard. That's
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Salamander.
Dr. Crane has finally, after working with you for the last 2.5 years, he finally has given me the look of like, will you tell this guy to quit talking to me?
I was like, what'd you get? I got a salamander. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that on the menu. I need to see where that is. Is that something new that I missed? So well done on that. So can you make a balloon animal?
Yeah, probably a snake.
A snake. Okay. I there's not one. Because I was watching him work over there, all the twisting and turning and everything, and he gave some kid a rabbit. I'm like, I don't know how you could do that.
All the twisting and turning looked like me last night trying to get my back to pop.
Get it! Yeah, full circle. Bringing it back home. Sneezing, scaring women, getting insulted in an elevator at the Preds game, and now his back out of whack. You were full hour last night.
You were worried where I was going with that.
Yeah, I was like, is there a dump button on site?
Chase is the one that's going to get us canceled.
Oh, my goodness.
By the way, Smashville Live tonight. It's the final one of the season. Starting at 6 o'clock. They'll be out at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs. You can go see Fedor Svechkov and Joachim Kimmel, two of the youngsters that have played very well for the team down the stretch. It's all presented by Gary Force Acura, so go check that out at 6 o'clock there at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs.
So Thursday night, Preds game means nothing. I tell you what, if I played in that game, I'd be shooting from the opposite blue line. I would fight. I would do everything.
I would try to win 9-2.
Yeah, right. Which they should have tried to do last night,
well.
but they didn't do it. I mean, I know they're all professionals, and I get all that stuff, man. But tomorrow night, I just put the young guys in and said, go.
I would feed Forsberg the puck like no other so it could get to 40 goals.
What's he at now?
38.
Okay.
So there's that. I mean, Matt Woods, he could get a hat trick and get 20.
Okay.
So, there's stuff to play for from that sense.
Is Anaheim, they got a game tonight, right, versus Minnesota. So they're in because the Preds are out. They're in, right?
Yes. Now, they could lose that third spot in their division.
Okay.
But
they're in.
Yeah.
I think Thursday night Preds game will be fun because when you don't really care about the outcome, but you kind of do, go out there and have fun. And I'm telling you, it would be like shots on goal, Predators 57, Dubin with 55. I would just be launching, man.
8771 says, allow me to clarify. Your first few jumps have to be tandem. Then when you wish to skydive solo, you walk through step-by-step how to pack your chute with an experienced skydiver.
Okay.
This is also done multiple times before you can truly skydive solo. So, okay, that makes me feel better.
I don't think I'd ever do it solo.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
I don't be up there with my own thoughts going down. No, I'm not doing that. I would not. I'd have to go. But again, I think there's a weight limit that you have to get, and then I've far exceeded that.
Yeah, me too. So that's why I'm just kind of like, I'm good.
I'm good. Great job there, buddy. It looks good coming down, but I'm
615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Also, tune in to Vanderbilt baseball tonight as they take on Lipscomb. First pitch is at 6 o'clock. Catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Gary Force Acura. Do want to give you one programming note. After Smashville Live tonight, Vandy Baseball will shift to 102.5 The Game. Sounds Baseball will then join on 94.9 The Fan in progress. But I did want to throw that out there that there would be a little bit of a switcheroo tonight with those two broadcasts. We'll have more coming from LaMadeline and Mount Juliet here on 102.5 The Game.
Hey guys, every day on the Chase and Big Joe show, one of our missions is talk about mental health in men. Our goal is to get you into therapy, get you feeling better. That's why we're so honored to partner with UnityCares.com. That's the website, UnityCares.com. Mental health treatment near you, for you, and it works. Look, it's private, it's secure, it's confidential. They have telehealth, everything you need to get started. And on the webpage, it'll tell you, thank you for reaching out. You've arrived at the right place. We're here for you when you are ready. That's the key word. A lot of guys go to the website at unitycares.com and look around. They are there for you when you are ready. That's so powerful. And we tell you all the time how better our world is because you are here. A lot that begins of that journey of getting better, of going to therapy. So just go to the website, unitycares.com. Click on there. Look, nobody has to know you're going there. Tell anybody, I just need you to go. Therapy changed my life. I know a lot of guys are going to therapy, and it makes me feel so fantastic that they are doing this. I need you to go too as well. They treat depression, anxiety, all those that go on that can make you feel blue and make you feel down. Their whole goal is to make you feel better. And this is also important. You don't have to go through any of this alone. They're with you every single step of the way. Just visit the website. Again, it's unitycares.com. It's unitycares.com.
Joe, this should be your theme song. We'll drop the bomb on me.
Okay. Hello.
How you doing? Chasing Big Joe.
Found your way around yet? Oh, man.
How you doing?
Oh, gosh.
All right. We're live today at the La Madeline in Mount Juliet. The atmosphere is awesome. The food's awesome. We've had a lot of fun here. So when you get a chance, come check it out in lovely Mount Juliet, Tennessee. So Tim kind of felt like that, you know, it might affect Ruben Bain. It might not. It just kind of depends on the team.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this yesterday. I mean, it depends whether or not he was open about it or denied it, or a lot of factors. I'm sure he's embarrassed. I hope he's embarrassed. I hope he's hurt. I hope he is sad about what happened. I mean, you got to be a little compassion involved there in that. But, you know, and somebody yesterday would say, well, you know, everybody makes mistakes. Nah, not like that. You know, that's kind of egregious. I mean, you took a life. But the whole thing about the cops didn't charge him anything. There was no sobriety test and all that at 3 or 4 o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but that was according to the police report. So I don't know. But if he's remorseful about it and there's a lot of compassion, I mean, everybody, you know, you move on and you hope not to do that again. I mean, it's a fine line. Not to say that we've ever made mistakes, but I've never done that. Thank God.
Yeah. So Jim Wyatt has posted the 7th tour of the mocks on TennesseeTitans.com and who all these experts have the Titans picking.
Let's have it, man.
Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, Peter Schrager all say Jeremiah Love.
Okay.
Nick Suss of the Tennesseans is Cornell Tate from The Ohio State. Pete Prisco of CBS, David Bailey. Steve Chia of Barstool Sports. I don't know who the
Chia, right? You sound like Jeff Fisher on that. Steve Chia.
He's Barstool Sports where my buddy John Gruden's at.
I told you, Coach Fisher now, he's so excited about AF1, he's got a little higher pitched voice.
No, he does.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
He says RFL, he's never going to come on with us again.
Oh, man.
Matt Miller of ESPN, Jeremiah Love, Charles Davis, NFL.com, David Bailey. There's Sonny Styles, more for Love, more for Tate. Ruben Bain from Vinny Iyer of Sporting News. This one I don't get. Rob Rang of Fox Sports says Ola Vega Ione, the interior offensive line from Penn State.
Look, he's got to be different, right? I mean,
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. There are no trades. It goes 1, 2, 3. How do you feel about Love landing here? If there are no trades, if everything goes 1, 2, 3.
And he's not, and he's on the board?
He's on the board.
You got to take him.
I mean, you feel like he's going to be there?
You said best player available.
Yes.
Everything I look at tells me that at that point, the best player available would be Jeremiah Love.
So the Jets.
Not Sonny Styles,
Right.
Jeremiah Love.
The Jets re-signed their free agent running back. They've got a couple good running backs
Yeah.
on their team. Raiders are going to take Mendoza. So now it becomes the Cardinals.
Yep.
I mean, dude, that's a desperate.
They've re-signed a bunch of their running backs too.
Okay.
So, I mean,
But if
really,
everybody's talking about how good Love is, if you're the Jets or Arizona, how do you pass him up? That's my problem.
But see, that's the thing. I think that's the thing with all three of these teams, because none of these teams, including the Titans, necessarily need a running back.
Correct.
But the fact that he is what many people are calling a generational talent and a game-changing offensive threat, which your second-year quarterback desperately needs, I think that's the road you have to go down. Now, what I'm afraid is going to happen is, and look, he's not a bad player, but what I'm afraid is Love's going to be sitting there, and they don't trade back, they're going to take Sonny Styles. That's what I'm afraid they're going to do.
Over Bain?
Over Bain, yeah. So Teron Davenport joined DVD yesterday, and he did make the comment that he thinks that Amy probably would not be thrilled with Ruben Bain because there's stuff. Which I said she needs to stay out of that, but
I get it.
I get it.
I get it.
So if Reese if Reese and Bailey are off the board at 2 and 3, and it's Love and Styles, I would take Love, but I have a feeling they're going to take Styles.
Okay.
So which again, he's not a bad player. Like, I don't hate the pick. I just would prefer Love over Styles.
Okay.
I think you would too.
I'd rather take Harry Styles. I want Jeremiah Love. I hate this. I'm going to be vastly disappointed in 9 days when they don't take Love. I'm just going to be disappointed. We talk about what a running back could do for him. Look, in the NFL, you only need to hold that block for about a second, and you're a good running back could pop by you. Yeah, you got to hold the block. You got to get better. I get that, but when you got a quote-unquote generational talent like Jeremiah Love, take him. And then Bain's going to fall to 9 to the Chiefs. So I see how this is playing out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could see it.
But I mean, that's just the scenario of 1, 2, 3, 4, no trades happening. I just still think Jerry is going to try to get up to number 2, and the Jets are going to set a record for having most picks in the first round. They end up having like 4 or 5.
Yeah, could be.
And then Jerry takes Jeremiah Love, and then that's the running back he needs.
Well,
I know they got a good one down there now, but
if
still.
Love's off the board at 4, then it changes the decision. Because then it's like, okay, take one of the edge rushers or Sonny Styles or trade back.
Oh, man. What do you think right now? Excuse me. That all 32 teams are deep diving into David Bailey.
Oh, I bet they are.
I
bet they're deep diving into everybody.
Especially, the ends. They're looking at like, all right, what's going on? How did this escape us?
Yeah.
I mean, how did it not get out till now? I mean, it's not like Miami Hurricane players aren't talked about in Miami.
You said Bailey. You mean Bain.
No, Bailey.
Oh.
The Bain's already out.
Oh, right.
I think
Okay.
deep dive into Bailey. Like, all right, we like you, Bailey. What's going on? What did Floyd tell you that he told prospects?
Is there anything I need to know that's going to make you or me look stupid?
that is so succinct and perfect of surmising everything. Put it together. Is there something out there that's going to hurt us? That's very smart.
Well, look, I mean, and I've heard other media members kind of talk about, Floyd was that way with us. Floyd was like, if you have something, call me first, so you don't make either one of us look stupid, and let's figure it out.
Did he ever talk to you about Pac-Man Jones?
Not really. A little bit, but not really.
Because that had to be – because they were pretty good up to that point. Him and Jeff were pretty good about getting guys in, signing them. There's a few guys missed a day or two, but that was just the holdout. I remember John Dwyer went and found Pac-Man in a gym somewhere on a Stairmaster and interviewed him during the holdout. And it was like, why are you? And it was so different because Jeff and Floyd did a great job of getting guys into camp.
Yeah.
And then Pac-Man kept missing days and days and days. It was terrible.
I view that pick as kind of the beginning of the end of what was, the old days that we remember.
Right. Yeah.
That just everything that could go wrong with it went wrong with it.
Well, in 2004, they did not have a first-round draft choice. They took Ben Troop in the second round.
What did they trade that for?
I don't remember. They had Andre Woolfolk was terrible. That was 23. Cool. They took him in the 20s. You had Albert in 02. Albert was great.
Yep.
01, you didn't have a first-round pick. You took Andre Dyson in the second round.
He wasn't great.
No, but in 5, you had this guy who was a pretty good defensive back at West Virginia, damn good punt returner. So he filled 2 needs. But he was just an absolute disaster. And I will tell you, I was on the team bus in Denver in 06 preseason game when Pac-Man Jones came out and made a complete you-know-what of himself in front of sponsors, fans, getting on the bus. I remember looking at the director of security at the time, Steve Burke.
Yeah.
And he was already red anyway, but he was boiling red. And I'm like, this one guy is destroying the franchise. And I'll never forget that no matter how he's turned a corner, and I know you got to forgive Pete, and I get all that, But at that moment, you're absolutely right, Chase. That guy derailed the franchise because he was such an unbelievable jackass. I remember getting a phone call in the middle of the night where he went to a party in Murfreesboro and spit on a bunch of people. They filed assault charges. And I'm getting a phone call at 3 a.m. This is going on. I'm like, I don't want this at 3 o'clock in the morning. Pac-Man Jones was an absolute embarrassment to the franchise, to the team, to the players, to this city. Thank God he's gone.
The picks after him, Troy Williamson, wide receiver, went to Minnesota. Antrell Roll, DB, went to Arizona. Carlos Rogers, DB, went to Washington. Mike Williams, wide receiver, went to Detroit. And then DeMarcus Ware, who's now in the Hall of Fame, was a linebacker
from Troy.
Yeah, went to Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
There's only one person remaining from the 05 draft still playing.
Is it Mercedes Lewis?
No. Come on.
Oh, Rogers.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way, I found out
publicly
where
shamed.
that first-round pick went for the Titans in 04. They
Where did it
traded
go?
it to Houston. It was 27th overall, and they used it on Jason Babin. And they traded it to get the 40th overall pick and the 71st overall pick. That ended up being Ben Troop as well as Randy Starks. They also got a 4th and a 5th as well.
Huh.
Brando. Doing good as a producer,
All right.
man.
Yeah, no, thanks for doing that. Yeah, that's weird. That's a weird move.
Isn't it?
Coming up next, we'll talk to John McClain again, obviously, about the passing of Coach Mack, Dave McGinnis, who passed away yesterday. We'll tell some Coach Mack stories with John coming up next. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 3, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5. The Game on this Tuesday, live at La Madeleine in Mount Juliet, their grand opening today. And appreciate them for having us. We had John McClain on yesterday, but later in the afternoon, we got the sad news that longtime Titans assistant, Titans radio color analyst, and former Arizona Cardinals head coach Coach Mac McGinnis had passed away at the age of 74. And John reached out and wanted to come back on to tell some Coach Mac stories because knew him for a long time. So, John, thanks once again for joining us.
It's my pleasure, guys. I hate for it to be such sad circumstances. I knew Dave for over 30 years, and one of the many things I miss about him is when the Titans would play here, and he would come in with the radio crew into the booth, the visiting booth at NRG Stadium. He would come down knowing I'd get there 3 hours early and sit down in the seat next to me, and we just BS for about 30 minutes. And I miss those times greatly, as many people who knew Dave will miss times with him. And the way I met him, I knew he was from Snyder, Texas, which is out in West Texas, and he played at TCU in Fort Worth. I read a story about him where he was assistant with the Bears. And he came to the Bears the year after Jeff Fisher left to go with Buddy Ryan. And it was Dave's first Bears team that set the all-time record for fewest points allowed under Vince Tolman, Buddy Ryan's replacement. A lot of people thought, well, it was the 85 Bears who were one of the greatest teams in history with the greatest defense. But no, it was the next year. And I read that he liked to eat Mexican food and drink Diet Dr. Pepper. Well, when I saw him at the Combine, I introduced myself, told him I was from Waco, I covered the Oilers, and I love Mexican food and Diet Dr. Pepper. So I knew then we had a beer that Dave, even though he wasn't coaching in Texas, in his whole career, he never came back here to coach, but he loved talking about his home state. And I had a lot of Mexican food and Diet Dr. Pepper with him. And when he became the Cardinals head coach, and I was covering the NFL at the time, my first city that I tried to find ways to come to, of course, was Nashville, because I had so many friends there, starting with Jeff Fisher and Floyd Reese. And I love Nashville, met so many cool people. But I also wanted to go to Arizona to hang out with Dave, because he had a couple of holes in the wall downtown in a barrio where you could eat Mexican food and drink Diet Dr. Pepper, but he'd have to bring his own Diet Dr. Pepper because they hadn't heard of it. And he took me one place one time where the menu was in Spanish on a chalkboard, and he brought Luis Zendejas, the cousin of Tony Zendejas, the Oilers kicker, and to him to translate for us. And so I had a lot of really good times when he was the head coach, and they signed him at Smith. I got to go up, spend time, as he always called it, going up the mountain to northern Arizona, where it was, because the high altitude was such great weather. And after he got fired as the Cardinals head coach in 2003, I was talking to him, and he said he's going to take a year off and do TV. And I said, well, you'll be great. Because as you guys know, Dave had a great personality. He's one of the funniest people I ever knew. And I never knew anybody that didn't like Dave McGinnis, great storyteller. So I was talking to Jeff Fisher at the Senior Bowl, and Jeff, the linebackers coach. And I said, well, would Dave McGinnis be a possibility? And he said he talked to him. I think he said he talked to him, or somebody told him Dave's taking a year off to do TV and radio. So I called Dave. He was at the Senior Bowl, and he told me that's what he's going to do. And I said, Dave, I said, if you have a chance to go to the Titans, you can't pass it up. Jeff Fisher is a great coach. He's a great guy. He lets you be yourself. You and him would get along great. You'd love the city. Kim would love the city, the people. There's just no negatives if you get a chance to take that job. And I said, you owe it to yourself and Kim to at least talk to Jeff and give him a chance to see if he wants to offer you the job. And so Dave was kind of, yeah, I will. Next thing I know, I read a release that the Titans had hired him as linebackers coach, and I think assistant head coach. And that worked out great because he and Fisher became great friends. He went, of course, with Jeff to L.A., and he did a tremendous job as the coach. And then when he became part of the broadcast crew, I knew he was going to be tremendous just because he was so knowledgeable about the game and loved so much what he was doing. I don't know if I knew anybody liked what he was doing, no matter what he was doing, more than Dave McGinnis. And he loved Fisher, and he liked telling stories about Jeff, and he fish this, fish that. So I know condolences to Dave's family, but also Jeff Fisher and all the people up there who knew him, worked with him, listened to him, because he had touched the lives of a lot of people, and he got so much respect and positivity when Pat Tillman was killed, and everybody wanted to talk to Dave, and he was almost like he's part of the Tillman family. I couldn't think of anybody better to represent Tillman and his family at so many events, and people had a newfound respect for Dave McGinnis, including learning more about who he was, because he was so good talking about Pat Tillman. So when he took Frank Wycheck's place, I was so glad he got to go back to Nashville, because he always loved Nashville, and everywhere he went, Coach Mack, everybody wanted to talk to him. He didn't know a stranger, and he loved Nashville and Tennessee and the Mid-South, everything about it. And it's just such a loss for so many people.
John, can you explain what happened with Coach McGinnis and the Bears? He was named head coach, but he wasn't head coach. I mean, you knew that story better than I did. What happened?
He interviewed, because he was there, I think, 9 years, and he was really popular and he was real good. And so then he went to be an assistant coach with the Cardinals, and he interviewed with McCaskey, Ed McCaskey was their chairman and grandson of George Halas. And Ed McCaskey is not known as being the smoothest owner around, even though his mama owned it. And so Dave interviewed. Dave told me, told other people too. He was in a car, and I don't know if he was driving himself back to the airport, or it was a cab or a limo. Knowing the Bears is probably a cab. But he was listening to a talk show, and they announced there was going to be a press conference to announce Dave McGinnis as a head coach. Well, he hadn't totally signed off on it, and because they hadn't agreed to terms on the contract. And he's hearing that. Well, you know what? The Bidwells hadn't been informed. The Bears hadn't been informed. Vince Tobin, the head coach, hadn't been informed. And so it was, I think most people would have gone, okay, I'll do it, or call their agent if the agent said take the money. But he turned them down, not knowing if he would ever get another chance to be a head coach in the NFL. And that just showed you what kind of integrity he had, because he had never been a head coach in the NFL. He didn't know he was going to get to be one 2 years later, the next year in Arizona. And he turned down the Bears, where he'd had some of his greatest moments, and he was immensely popular. But he never, as far as I knew, he never regretted it, because Dave had integrity. And the way he looked at it, the Bears didn't. And, of course, he got to be Arizona's head coach a year later when he replaced Vince Tobin. But that said so much about Dave McGinnis, the man.
John, we appreciate you taking the extra time to join us again to talk about Coach Mack because, obviously it's been a tough, few days now or since yesterday afternoon learning of his passing. But thanks so much for joining us again and telling us some great stories.
I hope that the Titans, if their new broadcast booth and their new stadium that Amy Adams sprung, will name it the Dave McGinnis broadcast booth.
I think I have a feeling there's going to be something. I don't know what it'll be, but I have a feeling she'll do something, and I agree with you. So
Guys,
thanks again.
thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. John McClain joining us from Houston to talk a little Coach Mack. We'll come back with more here on 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Tuesday at La Madeleine in Mount Juliet. Smashville Live coming your way tonight in Cool Springs. Preds putting a bow on the season on Thursday. And after it came to an end, the playoff push came to an end last night with a 3-2 loss to San Jose. And then Kings, I didn't even look, but they went on to win. I know that much.
They're up over the Kraken 2-0. It's
Yeah.
all over now. I mean, it was just been exciting. Playoffs have been fun, but you come out for 53 minutes and play terrible, then you're like, oh, wait, we're in this, and then get going. I just – it's bad. And when they pulled the goalie, which, again, I think is one of the dumbest things in sports, is pulling the goalie because, hey, once out of every 87 times an extra attacker, they'll score. You hardly ever see it. I just think it's just dumb to pull the goalie. And would soccer do that? Does soccer pull goalies?
No, they add up into the attack.
They add up into the attack, I'm told by our soccer expert, Dr. Crane. But they're not pulling a goalie.
So that means the goaltender can go play and yeah, gotcha. So yeah, I know. I mean, but it is a strategy that they use. But nonetheless, my thing was I felt like they flipped to another gear with 5 minutes to go in the third, and I'm like, where the hell has this been?
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
That was my thing. But I'll be curious to kind of see what happens, around the league. You got the Jets missing the playoffs 1 year after winning the President's Trophy. The Sharks have missed it for the 7th consecutive year. Blue Jackets for the 6th consecutive year. This is the 2nd straight year for the Preds to miss the playoffs. So
don't hate me. Don't hate me. I don't care. The Preds are out. I don't care. I do not care what happens in hockey from this moment on. Next thing I care about when the Preds hire GM.
Don't hate me. I don't care that you don't care.
All right, I know, I get it. That's what makes it work. But I think a lot of Preds fans are like, all right, it's over, done. We'll move on now.
Yeah.
And we get the GM and see. Look, I do think down the stretch it was great because we talked to guys about, look, the young guys, they came in, they did better than you thought. Forward.
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed this season's over with. Not happy about that. I don't care about the play. I really don't. Now that had the Preds stayed, I'd be all in. I love the team that much as a fan. But now, I'll see you in October. Let's get the good GM in here, add some pieces, and let's go. But just disappointed, man. I was so excited. They'd win last night, beat Anaheim Thursday. You traveling somewhere with the team and gone. I was looking forward to all this. Now you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm here. You're stuck with me. Yeah, and I mean, looking ahead at free agents, I mean, there's none out there that blow me away that the Preds would want to target. No, I don't think Alex Ovechkin's going to be available. I think he'll either go back to Washington or potentially the KHL and call it an NHL career. Same with Evgeny Malkin. So, there's going to be a lot of questions that need to be answered when the new general manager is hired or whatever that looks like. It would be it'd be tempting to offer sheet somebody like Jason Robertson, who's going to be a restricted free agent with the Stars if it gets that far. But I don't know. It's going to, I think I am intrigued by what this offseason is going to bring. But I don't know what it's going to bring as of yet.
I'm just glad Trotz isn't around to sign massive, dumb contracts anymore. Love him as a coach. GM, not so well.
No.
The Saros deal, I still think that's a terrible deal. Yeah, I mean, and nowhere in his mind, in our mind, did you think by signing Brady, Shea, Stamkos, Methuselah, that these guys would not come in here and been like, all right, and competed for a cup. I mean, nobody saw this coming.
Yeah, well, I mean,
last year was awful, and this year, the playoffs, I still think it's bad.
I get you blaming it on him because he signed the guys, so, I get it, but there's no way. I mean, like you just said, if I had taken 100 Preds fans and put them on a lie detector to say, do you think this is a bad idea and this isn't going to work out? If they had all said yes, the beep would have gone.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you. I was one of the guys we're Stanley Cup bound now, but didn't happen. I mean, that was kind of started the downfall of all that. Just it's a shame it happened that way. But Always next year. Just got to wait 6 months for the puck drops again.
Can I propose a question to you guys? Because this is something I've always kind of thought about. That 18-game point streak where the Preds went 16-0-2, and that's what got them into the playoffs that year. Do you feel like that maybe set a unrealistic expectation that this team was closer than what they were?
Yes. I think it did. I think that's a fair question. And look, I don't fault Barry Trotz for seeing that and then seeing what was available in free agency, because let's just be real. I don't think anybody ever thought that Steven Stamkos was going to be an available free agent, and he was. Marchessault, okay, Shea, okay, but Stamkos, I didn't see that coming. So I don't fault him for looking at that and going, okay, I got the pieces here. Let's add a guy that, is going to be a Hall of Famer. Let's add a guy that just won a Stanley Cup that could score a lot of goals. Let's add a, top pair defenseman to go with our captain. Like, I don't fault him for that. In the grand scheme of things, it didn't work.
Did not work.
But I don't fault him for trying. And that's my thing. We can sit here and we can do the debate on Barry Trotz, the general manager, and we'll have plenty of time to do that. But I think anybody in that position is going to take a swing like he did if you think, all right, I got everything. Like, I think this team is building in the right direction. And that's what he did. And it didn't work. But, I don't fault him for trying.
No, I'd go all in too. I'd be a terrible GM. I'd do the same thing, but it didn't work. And now it comes to a close tomorrow night. And his general Matt D plus maybe. I mean, he made the playoffs 1 out of 3 years. So that's as a GM. I mean, he's a hell of a coach, right? He's a Stanley Cup winning coach. It just didn't work out. So now that's over and done. New GM. Let's go forward.
We'll have more on this coming up next, live from La Madeleine in Mount Juliet. It's Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Tuesday at La Madeleine here in Mount Juliet.
It doesn't matter how you say it as long as you say it. That's what I was told, Chase.
Yeah, that is true.
What'd you end up having down here, buddy?
I had it was a turkey type sandwich, but it was really good.
Turkey type? Dr. Crane had the old chicken salad. Chicken salad. Dr. Crane. Come out and see Dr. Crane in another 30 minutes. Be willing to shake your hand, take a picture with you.
Adam in Portland on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com. Confession, I've never watched a full pro soccer game in my life. I watched my kids' 30-minute games when they were little. Also, I am totally locked in with Big Joe right now. I don't care about the play either. That's why I wanted them so badly to make it. Oh, the playoffs. That's why I so badly want them to make it, because I knew it would be over once they got put out.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Look, it's great that Colorado could meet Montreal in the final. I don't care. I just don't. If the Preds aren't in it, I really do not care.
Matthew in Nashville, and responding to what I said about don't fault Trotz for trying, he says, I don't fault him for trying. I fault Marchessault and Shea for poor return on investment. That I can agree with.
Yep.
He also says, I missed part of your show, so apologies if you talked about it already, but I'd be curious if you agree or disagree that the next general manager needs to be someone from outside the Predators family, meaning no ties to Nashville, no ties to anyone on the coaching staff or front office, and no former players. And it says, no matter how much certain people in the front office protest that idea, like Brian Poyle, I don't know if Brian would protest that or not, but I think that I am of the belief that it's okay to go outside the family and bring in new ideas. Now, with that said, even though Barry Trotz was a former coach here, he was gone for almost 10 years and did bring some different thoughts, or,
Yeah.
It's same with Andrew Brunette. I think that in this situation, Tom Fitzgerald's name is going to be out there a lot. I would say I don't think it's a horrible idea, especially if they go, like Wyshynski said last week, if they go with the, director or president of hockey ops and then hire a general manager, and maybe Fitzgerald is the hockey ops guy, because he only played here for a handful of years and was never in the front office, was never on the coaching staff. He was gone. However, he was with Ray Shero, who was the lieutenant to David Poyle for a long time,
Right.
as assistant GM. So, yes, I would consider Fitzgerald in the family. But, I tend to agree. I think if you can find someone that, they all have ties to everyone, because that's hockey, that's sports. But if you can find someone that doesn't have a lot of ties here and has been elsewhere, I don't think that's a terrible idea. I don't think it's a terrible idea if, there's someone that has had some ties here. But, I think new ideas are a good thing.
So be careful about this, because right now the Lady Vols are going through this.
Yep.
Where it's an absolute disaster because you went outside the family. So it's 50-50. You win and you lose doing that.
Yep.
There's examples of it working out famously. There's examples 2.5 hours to the east of us where it is an absolute disaster. So
I think both can
I
be
don't
true.
know.
I think if you were to hire, the hockey ops president and a GM, and maybe one of them has a tie and one of them doesn't, I think you're good. And,
Okay,
and
yeah.
it may, and look, we'll see what they do with, Brian Poyle and Scott Nickel and Jeff Kelty, the assistant general managers. I can hear and make the argument either way for them, because I think they're good guys and I think they've done a good job with this organization. But again, I can understand you bring in a new head of the front office and it's like, no, nothing personal. I want my own people.
Yeah.
So, and look, I think those guys deserve to continue to grow in their hockey careers. So if Brian were to go somewhere else, or Scott or Jeff, I would support that too, because again, I want to see those guys do well.
So what I like about this is that people care.
Yes.
Right. There's a lot of reaction on the text line. There's a lot of people, a lot of chatter out there on the internet and the socials. People care. Preds fans are disappointed to make the playoffs, but there's a lot that care about the future of this franchise and where it goes. That's a good thing because we've talked about on the show. Apathy destroys a franchise. Fan base that's apathetic. We saw with the Titans the past couple of years could do it. So the fact a lot of people are still passionate about what they do and what they figure out. So there's a lot that Bill Haslam's going to have to figure out in his surrounding cast in the next few weeks. I think Bill Haslam's a brilliant man. He will do what's right for this team and going forward. Look, a lot of people are probably helping him out, making decisions. And then there's things to work with. If we've seen this hockey team over the last 6 weeks, man, has really played well, these young guys. So there's a lot to be happy about, but it all begins with who you're going to get to run the show, man. That's a huge deal.
I agree. And once you do that, then, you know, it's going to be fun, kind of like it was with the Titans of once you get everything set the right way, then it's like, all right, let's watch them build it. Let's see what they can do.
Right. I know the Titans are having the pre-draft thing with Borgonzi on Thursday, which will be probably an hour of nothing. I mean, what could we learn from that, you know, on a pre-draft meeting? Like,
I mean, look, he you know, he's one of those that I think is getting pretty good at saying a lot without saying a thing.
Right.
Which was something Floyd was very good at, both as a general manager and in his radio career sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look, it's an art. I mean, I've told the story many times of going to the combine, John Robinson's first combine, and standing in the back with Floyd, and Floyd's laughing, and I'm like, what's so funny? And he says, he's been talking for 20 minutes and hasn't said, Jack, you know what?
Right.
I'm proud of him, you know? And so it's like, it's an art.
It is. But I mean, look, it all like the timetable with the Preds on the general manager in the next probably month or so. Then the Titans have 9 days. I mean, with the draft coming up and what's going to happen. So these are important times for franchises in our city that's happening right now. And Nashville SC seems to be on solid ground, right there, Dr. Crane? They play tomorrow night? Oh, they play tonight at 10:30. 10:30 our time. And what's that game on? FS2. Would you get over here and go on the microphone if you don't mind? The Nashville SC. Yeah. Because you are our resident. If not for you, we wouldn't know anything about soccer.
You're our soccer ombudsman.
Soccer savant. Thank you
There
very
you
much.
go. So what's at stake tonight for Nashville SC?
To go to the next round, the semifinals of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So if they win tonight by just if they score any goal and it draws 1-1, 2-2, whatever, they advance because the away goals count more than the home goals.
Okay.
So the first leg, they both drew 0-0.
Back to MLS. What's next?
Just keep winning. Right now, they're the top.
No, Goose. Who's next for them on the schedule?
Oh. Sorry about that.
All right.
I have to look at the schedule real quik. Sorry, it's just.
All right, then talk about what I mean. Then they're playing really well.
Talk about your schedule.
Thank you. Yeah, no, they just. They're coming off a two. Good Lord.
Coach, could you talk about your mindset, your schedule?
Oh, man. They're coming off a win this past Saturday against Charlotte. I mentioned that earlier with Jake. And,
wait, the Spider or the Web? Or
not Charlotte's Web. No,
okay.
Not Charlotte's Web.
All
Charlotte FC. So, yeah, they're coming off 2-1 win. Eddie Tag Seth, your favorite, Joe. And
the Milkman.
That's not the Milkman. That's Jack Mayer.
Okay.
Center back.
Who's Tag Seth?
The midfielder.
The Secretary of Defense?
Now, Jack Mayer is John Mayer's cousin, right?
Sure. Yeah, you could say that.
This team is connected. Taxith, is that not the defense
midfielder.
secretary?
No, that's the midfielder from Norway.
Okay.
And then you have Patrick Yazback, the Australian midfielder. They both scored. So it was just a big game for them. In the midfield, they needed some big midfield production, needed to connect a lot of passes. That's kind of the same thing as the Preds last night, kind of making the comparison there is that both teams kind of gave up a lot of passes in the middle of the field and also the middle of the ice. So neutral zone, as they'd say in hockey. So that's just one thing they need to work on. I think Nashville has kind of fixed a few things in practice last week and this week because you can tell on the weekend that they are connecting passes a little bit better, a little bit more crisp and clean. And if they can get the job done tonight, they're on to the semifinals, which is a cool thing because you asked me before the season began, and I said Nashville's going to win a championship, and you said which one, and I said this one, the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
So when are they back to MLS play?
That'd be this Saturday.
Saturday?
Is this Sherry? That's pretty good. No, they take on Atlanta.
Here?
Yeah, I believe so. Here, yes.
All right, Atlanta's that's a pretty good little franchise down there.
Sorry, at Atlanta. Sorry.
At Atlanta.
The titling is a little different there on that one.
Okay.
Home teams are on the bottom.
All right. Well, thank you for the catch up there, buddy.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Mhm.
Are you ready to take down Chase today in celebrity birthdays?
I'm hoping so. Today's the day.
Yeah, you feel good about it? All right, we will do that. Coming up next, it's Chase and Big Joe here on a Tuesday from La Madeline in Mount Juliet on 102.5 The Game. Chase the Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Tuesday. Appreciate LaMadeline for having us here in Mount Juliet. It's been great seeing a lot of people come in and out throughout the day. Dr. Crane is here as well, along with Big Joe. And with that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays.
All right. First on this, we have Children with Alopecia Day is today, so that raises awareness. Dreams of Reason Feast Day, Holocaust Remembrance Day, International Be Kind to Lawyers Day, always. International Laver Bread Day. Laver Bread.
Oh, my God.
I'm pronouncing this wrong now, aren't I?
I don't know.
I mean, look at that. That looks disgusting.
Lava bread?
No, there's an R in there.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's gross.
Is it better than Soylent Green?
I don't know. It's a close second, maybe. International Moment of Laughter Day.
It's every day.
Ex-Spouse Day. So shout out to the ex-spouses. Look Up to the Sky Day, as always.
Joe does that daily.
National Dolphin Day is today.
Best dolphin ever, Dan Marino.
Yeah.
National Grits Day. Joe, there you go. National Library Workers Day. National Pecan Day.
Okay.
There you go. Pan American Day. There you go there.
Good.
All right. Pathologist Assistance Day. Reach as High as You Can Day. And that's all we got.
All right. For you, that's the second shelf. Time for celebrity birthdays.
Is that where the Thin Mints are?
Can I say one birthday that would have been today?
Yeah.
On this day in 1941, the hit king Peter Edward Rose Sr. was born.
Ah, good to see that Chase told himself here that he checks birthdays.
No,
It
I
popped
just
up
knew
on the Reds feed, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew it would have been Pete Rhodes' birthday.
All right. Time is of the essence. Here we go. First birthday, and Dr. Can you go first?
Sure.
LPGA golfer Meg Mallon.
Meg Mallon. Active or not active?
Meg Mallon.
Okay. 72.
70.
63. Chaser. He led the Chargers to the Super Bowl in 1994. Stan Humphries.
63.
61.
61 exactly. 2-0. How old is David Justice, Dr. Crane?
Former infielder David Justice.
Outfielder. That's okay.
Well, when he was with the Oakland Athletics, they transformed him to a shortstop. That's right. Neither one. We'll go. I know. I mumble. I know. Let's go 52.
54.
60.
Damn.
Really?
Chaser, how old's Greg Maddux?
Oh. I'm going to say he's 60.
58.
He's 60 exactly. 2-2. Dr. Crane, former catcher Brad Osmus.
Brad Osmus.
I remember him.
63.
Did he play with the Braves?
I don't know.
57.
57 exactly.
Whoa.
4-2. Chaser, how old is former Temple basketball player Mark Macon? Played in the NBA for a while. Mark Macon.
55.
Mark making shots. 58.
57. Dr. Crane on the board, right? So
Good.
now it's 4-3.
Brad
Chase.
Osmus did not play for the Braves.
Dr. Crane, how old Steve Avery? This is Braves Day.
Steve Avery.
How old Steve Avery?
Let's go 60.
56.
56 exactly.
Oh.
Chase up 6-3.
I know my Braves pitchers.
Former Tullahoma Lion high school player, Alabama linebacker, and NFL, Antonio London.
Are you up, Chase?
Chase is up.
Yeah, that's up.
58.
61.
55. Dr. Crane, Anderson Silva.
Oh, UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Anderson Silva.
No, the guy that DoorDash is here. Good Lord. Yes, Anderson Silva.
Anderson Silva is 38.
39.
51. Chaser, Baker Mayfield.
The Bake Show is 32.
31.
31 exactly. 6-5. How old is DJ Moore? There, Dr. Crane.
29.
28.
29 exactly. You're up 7-6. Chaser, how old is Chase Young? St. New Orleans Saints player.
Chase Young, I'm going to say 29.
28.
27. Dr. Crane's up 8-6. Dr. Crane, 3 left. Anthony Michael Hall, the actor.
48.
58.
58 exactly. It's 8-8. Chaser, how old is Adrian Brody, the actor?
Oh my gosh. 62.
60.
53. Dr. Crane, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
51.
Is that Buffy?
No. Is it not? Yes, it is
Yeah,
Buffy.
It was Buffy.
It is Buffy. I'm thinking Sabrina.
54.
49. Dr. Crane wins at the buzzer, 9-8.
Wow.
What a game.
Well done.
Good job there, boys.
There's
Well
some
done.
energy in this French room here.
I
don't
love
know
it.
what it is.
You have been corrected by Scott in Shelbyville.
Uh-huh.
The Tullahoma Wildcats, not
Sorry.
the Lions.
I'm sorry. It's the Tullahoma Lions Club is the bowl game.
Okay.
You got inspiration from the French room here?
Yeah.
Will you do me a favor?
No.
Later on, will you paint me like one of your French girls?
And with that, that's going to do it for us here today.
Many thanks to Madeline for having us out of Mountain Dew. What a great place out here. Hey, listen, as we do every show to our guys out there, you're doing fantastic. You got the blueprint to success. It's called yourself. We love you. Keep striving. Keep going forward. You're doing a great job. We need you here. We need you here. I get sometimes your days are rough, but look, stay here, man. People love you. Want to be around you, know how much we love you. More importantly, more than anything else in this world, please know how much God loves you.
That's going to do it for us. DVD coming your way next here on 102.5.